there. Welcome to day 2 of the second week of our 4-week Sweat Smart program. Charlie's really excited to see you too. This is Charlie, in case you haven't met her yet. This is our body weight, low impact cardio HIIT workout. That means we're not jumping, we're getting our heart rate up to improve cardiovascular fitness, and HIIT stands for high intensity interval training, which is a work to rest ratio that is at a quick pace so that our heart rate stays elevated throughout the workout. That being said, yes, you are an advanced beginner now. If you started with me at the beginning of this program, you take breaks when you need. If you feel extremely uncomfortable, I want you to press pause, catch your breath, and jump back in. If you feel like, oh my gosh, this is the easiest thing in the world, then you need to work a little bit harder, okay? Because this time is for us to work, so I want you to make sure that you're working at your sweet spot, okay? Only equipment you're going to need is a mat or a towel, and you are going to want one because we're going to be down on the ground for the last 3 movements. There are 10 total, same format as last week. We start with a warm-up. We work through each of the 10 exercises once, 35 seconds of work, and I believe it's 15 seconds to catch our breath in between moves. We have a minute rest in between, and then we repeat the circuit one more time. We repeat each of those exercises one more time, and we end with a cool down. We get out of here in 20 minutes, okay? 20 minutes is all you need. And anytime you're doing a HIIT workout, you really don't need too much time because it's designed to be quick and taxing, okay? I am going to start us with those same 5 warm-up moves that we've done in each of our workouts because, like I've said, the warm-up is super important, and I want the warm-up just to become second nature so that when you're done with the 4-week program and you're out into the world of workouts, you remember to warm up and you have a warm-up that you know that you can do anytime, anywhere. All right, guys, I'm going to hit our timer, and we're going to start with the march and arm swings, thumbs facing up, opening up the chest. Now, as you press down into the balancing foot, you're pressing down into the heel, and I want you to squeeze from the heel to your glute. Big exaggerated movements here, really opening up the fingertips towards either edge of the room. And when the timer rings, we're going to have 10 seconds before we move into our next move. If you feel like you don't need those 10 seconds, I want you to continue with this same move. Okay, so our next move is going to be step jacks. So stepping one foot out. And this time I want us to go just a little bit faster. So maybe you get a little bit lower when you come out into that step jack, almost like a squat on that side. So not the leg that's extended, but the supporting leg. That leg is carrying the majority of our weight here. So I don't know what the weather's like where you are, but today's the first day of fall. When I'm filming this, the video won't come out till next week, but we actually had some fall weather. So go ahead and continue with those step jacks, or catch your breath, come to one end of your mat or your space, bend your elbows, hug them into your side, and side steps with bent arm lateral raises. It was actually kind of chilly this morning. It's definitely not chilly right now. Late September, early October here in Southern California is warm. It's still summer, even though technically it's not still summer. The mornings and the evenings are really cool, but it still gets pretty warm midday. I can't complain, I live close to the coast. We get a really nice breeze. Okay, you're gonna continue, or you're gonna take that 10-second break, and we're gonna come into the butt kicks with the row at the bell. So palms facing down, hugging the shoulder blades in towards one another as you pull the elbows back. And then can you actually get that heel to kick your butt. The only time I ever want you to kick your butt, well, unless you're doing a really tough workout, in which case, kick away. But don't beat yourself up under normal circumstances. Let the voice in your head that says, you're doing a good job, you've got this, be louder than the voice that says, oh no, I don't know about this. Okay, you keep going, or take your 10 seconds, and we're gonna come into that heel press and the front press. It's interesting. I was having a conversation about that with my son the other day, how most of us have, you know, those competing voices in our heads, and it's not a matter of silencing. I mean, if you've mastered a way of silencing the negative one, please let me know how. But I think for most of us, it's a matter of letting that, the positive voice speak louder than the other one. Okay, grab a sip of water if you need it. We're gonna have a minute, 45 seconds, sorry. Now that the bell has rung, and we're gonna get into our first move, which is going to be a side shuffle. So we're sitting low, and we're shuffling from side to side, like 2 or 3 shuffles in each direction. If you're ready to start, you can go ahead and start with me. We still have 20 seconds. Side shuffles fall into, you know, the lateral movement category, which I've explained before is so important for us because most of us move forward and back. Okay, we're on in 5 seconds. Come to one end of your mat. All right, let's go. So the lower you are, the more challenging it is. And then you do have to stop yourself. So you're working into that outer glute to stop yourself in the shuffle as well. I don't know if I mentioned it, we're working for 35, oh yeah, I did. 35 seconds work, 15 seconds rest. Okay, next move is a side skate. So you're gonna step out with one foot and tap the other toes behind you. And again, the lower you get, the more difficult it is. And if it's too much to tap the foot behind you, you're gonna tap it next to the foot that you're stepping out. When we tap it behind us, we work into what's called the transverse plane, which is where we cross the midline of the body with one of our limbs. Okay, now we're gonna come into a squat bicycle. So we did bicycle crunches on our back the other day. So fingertips lightly behind the ears. Elbows are out so wide you can't see them. Feet at 11 and 1. Squat down, come up, and drive opposite knee up towards the opposite elbow. So notice my chest is never hunching down. Keep your chest proud, and that I'm not hunching my elbow down to my knee, for lack of a better word. I think I have lack of oxygen in my brain right now. It's a drive the knee up towards the elbow. Okay, fun move coming up. They're called Charlie's Angels. Feet are a little bit wider than hip width distance apart. You're gonna make your little Charlie's Angel here. You're gonna pivot, right toes out to the side. Your Charlie's Angel is gonna go to the left, and then left toes pivot, and then Charlie's Angel to the right. The lower you get, the harder it is. And I'm not flailing side to side. My core is very much in control, because if I flail side to side, I risk injuring my low back. If you're getting dizzy, you can take the hands out of it and just bring them to your hips. Okay, now we're going to come into a squat tap out. So it's kind of like a squat hold and a step jack at the same time. Or, yeah, it's sort of a squat jack. So the toes come out to the side. Weight is back in the direction of the heel. And yes, I'm leaning forward a tiny bit, but not much, okay? I want to think about torso being upright. Keep breathing. 5 seconds, you've got this. Okay, next is called a hacky sack. You know that little soft ball? Yeah. Hands out like a T, and we're gonna bring opposite fingers to the inside of the opposite heel. So transverse plane again, working the inner thighs, outer glutes, and the core. So the faster you can go, the higher the heart rate is going to get. Core is engaged. Remember, exhale, notice those muscles engage. All right, we have one more standing move before we come to our floor moves. And we're gonna do butt kicks with tin soldier arms. So the opposite arm comes up. All right, we're on in one. So heel to the glute as the opposite arm reaches towards the ceiling. It's kind of like patting your head and rubbing your stomach at the same time. And of course, if you're feeling comfortable, kind of blended confident and comfortable there together, you can go a little faster. So our last 3 moves are going to be down on the ground. First move is a plank hand tap. So what that looks like, we start on hands and knees, corkscrew the hands into the mat, tuck the toes under, come up into a plank, and then we're going to tap right hand to left and left to right without shaking ourselves side to side. You can always come down to your knees. It's the anti-rotation, meaning not opening to one side or the other, that we're working here. And then if you're feeling strong, come back up onto your toes and tap hand to hand. Core is engaged. Pull that belly button back towards your spine. Squeeze your buns. Speaking of buns, we're going to do a bridge hold. So come over onto your back. Bring your heels in towards your glutes. Fingertips reaching towards your heels. Low back into the mat. Exhale. Squeeze your glutes. Press into your feet and keep your hips lifted here. Now I want you to imagine that you're pulling your heels back towards your fingertips, magnetizing the inner thighs and the inner knees towards one another without them actually touching. And then imagine that you're ripping the mat apart with your heels. So those 3 actions, heels towards the glutes, heels pulling away from each other, and the knees and the inner thighs magnetizing in towards one another. Holy heck, guys, my hamstrings and my glutes are on fire. Okay, we're gonna come back over onto our stomach for a hand release push-up. So, palms out, a palm's distance from underneath your shoulders. Come all the way down to your belly, lift your hands, and then press all the way back up. Inhale as you lower with control, palms lift, elbows squeeze in towards one another, and then press back up. Inhale, lower, palms lift, exhale, press all the way up. Now you can do this on your toes too if you're feeling extra spicy. I'm not. All right, we're gonna have a break between our circuits. If you need a drink of water, gosh, I thought I brought my water out here. I guess I didn't. Go ahead and take a sip of water. If you don't need the break between the circuits, you're gonna do squats. And then you're gonna think about maybe working a little bit harder the next round through, okay? So we have those 10 moves all over again. If you are feeling absolutely gassed, you're gonna stop the video. But I want you to be honest with yourself. Are you feeling absolutely gassed, or are you just wanting to be done? Because if it's just wanting to be done, you gotta learn how to be uncomfortable a little bit, okay? All right, so remember, we're gonna start with those side shuffles, and we're on in 9 seconds. So make your way to one end of the mat, into that ready athletic stance. Knees are bent, weight is back towards the heels, and you're gonna shuffle a couple of times, probably 3 times to the right, and 3 times to the left. Come on, we're gonna go a little faster this round. Let's go. Final round, you've got this. Last, like, I don't know, under 6 minutes of work. You can do it, okay? And if you need to just stand in the middle of the mat and tap your feet side to side, you stand in the middle of your mat and you tap your feet side to side. You just don't stop moving. Okay, so those side skates, big step, tap the toe behind. Big step, tap the toe behind. Remember, you can just take big steps side to side. If it's too much, balancing, stepping side to side. Now, maybe bring opposite elbow in the direction of the opposite knee. Ooh, I tripped. Be careful. This mat is extra sticky. I think it's better for yoga with bare feet than with tennis shoes. Always make sure that your surface is safe. Your work area is clear of debris, obstacles, and other things that are trying to jump up and get you. Okay, squat bicycle. Fingertips behind the head. Twist from your belly button and drive opposite knee in the direction of the opposite elbow. I can see that name tag that you're wearing on your shirt. And since I've mentioned that, and you're probably not really wearing a name tag, why don't you drop me a message in the comments below and let me know your name so that the next time you're back here, we're better acquainted. Exhaling to twist, stabilizes the core, keeps the low back safe, and inhaling as you come down. All right, whoo, I'm out of breath. We've got those Charlie's Angels. So feet wider than hip width distance apart. Athletic stance, which just means the knees are soft. And then the left toes pivot as the fingers come to the right. And then right toes pivot as your Charlie's Angel there comes to the left. So this is really good for our core. Exhale as you twist, and inhale as you come through center. And if you want to go a little faster, you can go a little faster. All right, now we have that little squat jack of sorts where we're tapping out side to side. Remember, you can just tap or you can go a little faster. So I feel this in my buns and in my hamstrings. And so try to keep your chest up. No hunching forward, remember. Goodness, when is that timer gonna end? All right, we have 2 more standing moves, then we're down on the ground for 3, and then we're out into the rest of our day. Okay, we have those hacky sacks. Imagine that you're kicking that little hacky sack ball. You can add a little bounce if you want to make it a little bit more challenging, or feet flat on the mat, which is still a challenge, but doesn't involve any bounce. So I'm making suggestions, throwing out options, and you are the decision maker for what is best in your body today. All right, now we have those butt kicks with the 10 soldiers. So opposite arm, opposite heel. And if you wanted to, you could run it, but this is low impact. So I'm going to do the low impact version. I don't know, maybe you're feeling extra spicy. Spicy is the word I use. Sassy? I don't know, what's the word? Fiery? Crazy? No, never. Working out is never a crazy idea. It's so good for us. It's like the best thing we can do for ourselves besides getting a lot of sleep. All right, we're coming down onto the mat for our plank hand taps. So remember, you can start in tabletop, get your stability. So belly button back towards the spine, pressing the mat away with the hand that's stabilizing. And when you're ready, tuck your toes, lift your knees, and a little secret is to walk your feet towards the wider edges of the mat. It gives you more stability. And then I think the biggest mistake I see people make in planks is not keeping the lower body engaged. So we're hugging the buns, squeezing the quads to lift the kneecaps. All right, we're gonna come onto our back for those bridge holds. And I am gonna give you a way to make it a little bit more difficult. A little bit. So, feet hip width distance apart, lift your hips. Keeping your right hip level with your left, you're gonna march your right knee in towards your chest, bring the foot to the mat, and then march the left knee in. So my right foot that's on the mat right now is really pressing into the mat and pulling back towards my butt to keep my glute and my hamstring turned on. If it's too much or you feel it in your low back, I want you to hold the bridge. And the back of your neck is relaxed. Okay, hand release push-ups for the win. Oh my, I don't know if you can see that, but I left quite the sweat print. That's my badge of honor there. All right, so lower with control. Lift the palms, hug the elbows in towards one another, push all the way up. Remember, the inhale breath lowers us, and the exhale really turns our core on to help us come up. A push-up, yes, is heavily chest focused, but it is a total body move. All right, and that was the end of our workout. We're gonna come into a child's pose, so knees wide, sit your hips back on your heels. We are gonna hear a bell in a minute that tells us that the workout is over. Just ignore it. Be grateful. Bend your right elbow. Give yourself a little pat on the back with your right hand. That stretches the back of the upper right arm. And then do the same with the left. Give yourself a little pat on the back with the left hand. And then re-extend the hands long. Come up to a tabletop. And we're gonna do a little thread the needle. So right fingertips reach up towards the ceiling. Exhale, bring your right shoulder right ear to the outside, or right shoulder and the outside of your right ear to the mat without dumping down onto your head. This is just a nice stretch for the upper body and for the low back as well. And then bring the left hand back in towards your shoulder, give a press into it, re-extend the right arm, and then we're going to switch it out. Left fingertips reach up towards the ceiling, and then thread the needle. You can extend the right arm out, press the armpit down towards the mat. And when you feel even, bring that right hand back towards the right shoulder, re-extend the left arm. And let's just come through a couple of cat-cows. Inhale, drop your belly, lift your gaze. And exhale, cat. Press the mat away. Inhale. And exhale. All right, go ahead and tuck your toes and come into a downward facing dog. You might need to walk your hands out a little bit. Keep your knees bent to find that length in your upper body. Armpits in the direction of the mat. Imagine that you're pressing the mat away with your hands, and then pedal out your feet here. And then walk your hands back towards your feet, coming into a forward fold. Notice how deeply bent my knees are. I'm still feeling that nice stretch in the backs of my legs and my hamstrings. Tuck your tailbone under, slowly roll up to stand. Go ahead and find a wall. Pull your right heel into your glute. Bring your right knee to meet your left and feel that nice stretch in the front of the right leg and the quad. And then switch it out. I'm gonna turn there. I mean, if you can do this balancing, you can go ahead and do it balancing. It's nice to have a wall to support you. Look out in front of you. And then, of course, the most important stretch, give yourself a pat on the back. I'm going to give you that virtual high five. And I'll see you back here on Friday, friends, for our Vinyasa Yoga Flow. Thanks for joining me. Have a fantastic rest of your day.